Okay, this is probably better that I've basically had no minutes to prepare. It's probably better. My name is Scott Livingston, Livingston Homes. We build custom homes in Bear Lake. We've been doing this for almost 30 years now. I got into this business when I was in high school. I figured out real quick in junior high and early years of high school that I was a terrible student. Struggled in school, couldn't pay attention, always looking out the window. I was what you call an A's and F's student. I got A's in shop class and F's in math, science, social studies, all the things, right? I actually was fortunate enough to get an apprenticeship at an HVAC company when I was 16. Like, they gave me 7 classes of work release. And so I just had a full-time job is what it felt like to me. I started doing that and I loved it. Guys, I fell into a culture of blue-collar working men that get up every day and work hard and build really cool stuff, and I loved it. And then I got into framing, and I loved framing houses. In fact, I still do a little bit of it today. I love it. I love going home every night, having spent the day with the guys and built something that you see that's gonna stand there for years and years. One of my favorite things is driving around town, seeing all the homes we built. And just, for me, I see this cool house, but the memories of the jokes we had after lunch and the different interactions we had come back when I drive by those homes, and it's really neat for me to experience that. But I framed for several different companies back in Utah Valley, and the culture of the framing world back then was high turnover rate. People were quitting to run over here for $1 more an hour and back and forth. There just wasn't anything stable. So I ultimately ended up starting my own company when I was 22 years old. And that's the company that you see today. A lot of ups and downs along the way. 07 was a doozy. We learned what it feels like to starve. And we learned what it feels like to work hard. We thought we knew what it meant to work hard before that, but we didn't. So in 07, we had a market collapse. All the banks just shut the tap off. No more lending, no more paying out on draws. There was massive amount of spec homes and stuff that was overbuilt on the market, and prices plummeted, and there was literally no work to be had. Companies that had 40, 50 employees they just vaporized in a matter of weeks. At the time, we had a joint venture, and we had about 30 people working for us, and we went right down to me. I was the last man standing. And it took 5 years to get us out of that. We'll call it a recession. I think that's how they refer to it today, as a recession. 18-hour days, 7 days a week was the norm. That was a standard full-time position in construction at that time, just to support your livelihood. You know, for me, I had little kids at home, and we just, any kind of project we would take. We did the most random construction projects you could imagine. What kept me going was the idea that if we survive that low, when the market comes back, we will already be in business. And everybody else that quit to ride it out, they had to start up. So we had an advantage. And that's true, that's what happened. In 2012, things got rolling again, and we started getting busy, and we were already in business, and I started adding people to our team. A lot of the people that we added were people that worked for us before the crash. 2007 is also when we started in Bear Lake. I moved to Bear Lake in 07. So I was here for 6 months before it crashed. That 5 years of so we'll call it survival, was where I got to know everybody in this valley. And so I came back around, and now we're kind of a household name here. The biggest reason that I wanted to move to Bear Lake was the kind of buildings that we get to build. So building a home, it's a special thing. You know, people raise their kids in there. You know, we all have the visual in our minds of the casing along the door that's got the pencil mark of the child when he's 8, and then the child when he's 9, and the child when he's 10, right? And that's a special thing. But the kind of buildings we can build in Bear Lake are a whole nother level. Particularly the second homes, the short-term rental cabins, the ones that see different family reunions every weekend, right? These buildings have a personality, and they become a container for this family's reunion, these family's memories. I had a very special moment. We had built some short-term rentals, and one of them, we themed it like a red barn. It was a classic red barn, and inside was a house, and it had some really cool theming inside. And I looked out the window, and I see this woman, she's probably in her 60s, frantically running back and forth, grabbing the son-in-law and the daughter and the grandchild and her husband and trying to get them all in this family photo before they checked out and left for the weekend. And I caught myself in the window just watching this scene. And she finally got them all together, and she's shooting her photo, and I realized the backdrop for her photo was my building, the one that I built, the little red barn. I drew that on a napkin. It was just a wild idea of something that I wanted to create that I thought people would like. And that photo is going to be shared amongst her family for years and years. And that, to me, that's special. That's a special way to take raw materials and take our labor and our efforts and turn it into something beautiful. And it's special to me to work with the younger carpenters, like the next generation of people, and show them the deeper purpose to what it is that we do. We're not just carpenters. We're not just masons. We're not just plumbers. We're actually building the container for their memories. We're a company that really prides itself on our employees and our staff and our relationships with our subcontractors. The truth about construction is those relationships is what builds great buildings, right? You can have the finest carpenter in the world. He's just one piece. He's just one wheel in the system. The bringing of all those different skill sets together into one group really builds a better building. And that's really what we're trying to do. When you buy a home from us, you're getting that effort. You're getting the benefits of all of those relationships leveraged to build a better building. We're not just motivated by making a profit. We're really trying to create a safe space and a camaraderie with all of our people to build great buildings.